thought before the ATF comes to take my 22s, I better shoot it a couple more times. I made a video about this, so gosh, probably maybe October-ish time frame. I don't remember exactly when. Give you a little history. Dad came up a while back, I guess in the springtime, and he gave me this 22. He's had it for a while. Thing is when I was younger, he had another 22 exactly like it, except it wasn't stainless steel, same Marlin brand. I didn't know what was wrong with it. It didn't shoot correctly. It didn't eject the shell casings very well. Well, now we have YouTube. I could dig into it because this one had the same problem when I got it. I dug into it. It needed cleaned, and I didn't know how to tear apart the old one. So the old one's at my mom's house. I may get that back one of these days. But I sure do like this 22. Have went blind in my right eye. I blame the doctors for that. They put me on steroids and now I can see about that far away. So I've put a laser sight on it. And I tell you, that's pretty nice. It's a green laser sight, the cheaper one on Amazon. And you might be able to see that I've marked it up. I don't know, maybe you can see that I've marked it up with whiteout. I can dial this in for a specific distance. So when I turn it this way, it gets me further out. When I get it this way, it gets it closer. It almost seems reversed for some reason. It's not like sighting in a real scope. But whatever, that doesn't make any difference. It just took me a while to figure it out. I like to use Blazer ammo. It's a CSI ammo. Now, I know there's all kinds of things going on about it. It was bought out by a foreign company and different things, but it doesn't matter. I like Blazer, and I learned that I like Blazer when I was using this. When I first got this is a Ruger SR22. Now that it's broke in, it shoots pretty much anything now, but it took several thousand rounds for it to get broke in, and in the meantime I needed something that would shoot, and Blazer ammo seemed to always be pretty reliable in this. I carry this 22. I know a lot of people, oh no, you need to carry a Mach 25,000. But I have this bad habit of putting my finger in behind the trigger. So when I'm on camera, it appears that my hand or finger is going to violate safety protocols because you're supposed to put it up here. But I like it back here because that way nothing can bump it. I'm completely safe. So I try to remember when I'm on camera to put my finger up here. But I like to carry the 22. It's easy to shoot. Lots of ammo that I can shoot through it. It's very cheap. And when I was starting out to carry firearms, I started out with a 9mm, but I quickly learned I wasn't going to be able to afford to shoot it very often. I started researching what I wanted to carry. Some guy said, hey, you're going to carry something that you can practice a lot with. And I play with this all the time. I mean, I don't have any problems coming out here and shooting it. I'm supposed to use two hands, so ignore the firing style, but I'm holding the other gun. I should put it down. But I sure do like this. I've got a couple extra clips that I carry. Now, I know everybody carries because they want to defend themselves from the guy that's gonna meet them in the mall. I mean, I get all that. I carry mine primarily, I carry it outside of here also, but primarily I carry it for wildlife around here. When I come down to feed a chicken and there's a possum inside the chicken run or a raccoon, I need to be able to get that thing out of there quickly before it eats all the chickens. I carry it for lots of different reasons. And I don't think that you need knockdown power. I think once you start shooting, the bad guy's going to quickly learn he doesn't want to be in that gunfight much longer. So I have extra clips that I carry that way. Well, for example, what was I guess it was raccoon. I think it was, rabid raccoon. I remember what it was. And I just didn't feel like it was completely dead. And I didn't want that thing springing back up to life. So I shot him and he went down, but I got the instinct that he wasn't dead yet. So, I just filled him in, and I wish I'd had more ammo. So I got 2 extra clips that I carry. That way, when I'm shooting around here, I've got plenty. I don't have to worry about anything. Typically, I wouldn't think you'd need a lot of clips like I said, in a gunfight with someone, because they're, both parties, the good guy and the bad guy, are going to want to get away as fast as possible. But that's all conjecture. I'm not some sort of self-protection expert. But as you know, since this administration has been in office, they've worked really hard to make sure they could get our guns. And I've reported on a lot of different things that's going on. A while back, there was a ATF walked up some guy's house and knocked on his door and wanted him to show them the firearms that he just bought. Of course, they didn't have a warrant, and the whole world went crazy over that, or at least the United States. And I agree that we're losing our freedoms. So you try your very best, and I've said this many times, to find your own freedom. Once you realize that you're not free in this country, it's easier to find your own freedom. But I don't have a lot of firearms. I used to have a lot of firearms. I got robbed one time, and I know people are going to say, oh, you're just so irresponsible. They were locked up. The guy had all day to get us the firearms. They were locked up. So he got them, and then he came back to get more later. Not only were they locked up, as soon as I got robbed the first time, I started in with getting an alarm system with cameras and the whole thing. It was ordered. They were shipping it, and the next week he came back in and got the rest of the guns. And I even had those more locked up. I took box springs, those springs in an old children's bed. It's basically just a bunch of springs and wires. And I was putting those up over the windows. I was screwing them into the windows, trying to keep him out until I got my security. But he ended up getting up on the air conditioner unit outside and was able to reach up quite high, actually, to open the bathroom window, and got through there. It was the one window I didn't secure because I honestly didn't think he'd be able to get into it. He spent all day trying to get into it, used my tools to get into it. Then I went and got some of them replaced with insurance money, and then we started traveling, and I had those firearms in our camper, and someone burned down our camper, so I didn't replace them again. So everything I have now has been given to me. Dad gave me a 30-06 shotgun, a 12-gauge shotgun, and a 20-gauge shotgun. 20-gauge shotgun has been handed down from my grandma. And then, of course, I have some 22s. I got this one. And this one is pretty handy. It's very accurate with the laser sight. And then I got the pistol, of course. But the ATF has been really trying to come after people with their firearms. So back in October, I reported that the ATF proposed a new rule. Now, when I made this video back in October, I said law. Oh, you can't. It's not a law. They don't make laws. Congress makes laws. Well, okay, I don't care if it's a rule or a law. If they can arrest you for it, then it seems like legal law, all that kind of applies. Semantics. You're being semantical, I always say. And then they talk about this Chevron difference. Oh, don't worry about it. They're going to get rid of the Chevron difference, and then they won't be able to make any rules. Well, if you don't know this, the Chevron difference was actually supposed to be there to limit what the president can do. But after a few years, they made the Chevron difference more powerful for the president. It's just interpretations. It doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter what the Supreme Court does. If they can figure out a way to take away your rights, they're going to do it. I mean, we just had this Bruin decision that was supposedly allow us to carry firearms everywhere. Well, then all of a sudden, Illinois is literally just banned a firearm, requires that you register the firearm. If you don't register the firearm, state police are going to come around and arrest you for not registering the firearm that you owned before the law. So I don't know what Bruin did. They just figure out a way around it. Everything ends up in court. They get sued. Then they just change your law, and they figure out a way to get around the law again. So it just doesn't matter. So what the ATF proposed back in October, I think it was October, somewhere around there, was they did not want private sales of firearms. Now, at that point, what they said is if you wanted to sell your firearm for a profit, that you had to have an FFL license, which is a dealer's license. They used to say that if you wanted to sell your firearm, you could take it to a dealer, and then the dealer has a dealer's license that they could sell it for you. But now they want you to have the FFL license. So even if you take it to a dealer, you still have to have a license. That's what they wanted to propose. So they go through the motions and they say, okay, we're going to have public comments about it in the next few months, and we'll decide what we're going to do then. Well, a few months has passed. Of course, the public outcry was, no, we want to be able to sell our guns privately if we want to, without an FFL license. So what that meant was, originally, was since Dad gave me this gun for free, I couldn't sell it. I would have to give it away. Of course, in the comment section, it was, how do you lie to get around the law? Well, I don't lie. I try very hard not to lie. It's just, I don't even try to give shades of gray. I just don't. So for me to tell someone that comes over my house, yeah, I'd like to give you this gun, but I want to sell you a dozen eggs for $300. That's what the comment section is. Well, just sell them some eggs for $300. Then when they decide that they want to come after you, you can say, well, I didn't sell them a gun. I sold them eggs. Look at the receipt. Come on. Really? I mean, that's not going to fly. Besides that, all it takes is the guy who bought the gun to say, yeah, the $300 is really for the gun. The eggs, he gives me eggs all the time. And the way they're going to do it is they're going to arrest the guy who bought the gun. And they're going to make him do a plea deal. I'm going to give you 500 years if you don't plead out. And all you got to do is say that the guy who gave you the gun sold it to you for $300. Okay, what's the plea? Well, we'll just let you go for a ticket. Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, he sold me that gun for $300. So, yeah, you can lie all you want. It doesn't make any difference. They're going to get you. That's the whole plan. They don't want you to have freedoms. They don't want you to have firearms. Well, the best thing to do is if they make a law, just follow the law and then try to vote people out so you can get that law changed. The country has went bad. And what I don't think people really understand is the people who made it bad aren't the politicians. It's the people who voted for them. So time has passed. So now they have written a 1,200-page document on how they're going to enforce this new rule that they haven't even listened to the public comments. They have not released the 1,200-page document. It's just they're going to start enforcing it. So they've already got a plan on how they're going to come around those things that happened years ago in the 90s, like down in Waco, Texas, and Ruby Ridge, Idaho, I think it was. Yeah, that ain't ever going to happen again. No. But they're going to come after us for selling firearms. So there's this organization that has written a letter to the administration asking for the information and a request for and a Freedom of Information Act. They've requested a Freedom of Information Act on this new rule. Well, this administration has not really followed the rules of freedom of information. So it's unlikely he's actually going to release the documentations based on the Freedom of Information Act. So it's going to go through the court system forever. All the while, the ATF is going to come around the doors, knocking around, asking for your FFL license if you sell a gun. Here's the problem I have is, yeah, okay, we're going to vote somebody in, we'll get rid of that, we'll get rid of Chevron difference. Let me make an example. I remember when I was a kid, somebody I was riding with, I can't remember who it was though, flashed their lights that there was a police officer down the road to an oncoming car. Well, the oncoming car happened to be a police officer. So that police officer pulled us over. The police officer said it's illegal to flash your lights to warn drivers, another cop car down there. Well, fast forward years later, I'm an adult, maybe in my 30s now. The Supreme Court has decided that that is a freedom of speech right, that you can communicate with flashing your headlights to an oncoming driver about a police officer. That's freedom of speech. Oh, great. So you go to the city municipality that gave you a ticket 20, 30 years ago, and you say, hey, give me my money back. You took money from me that was illegally taken. No, you're not getting your money back. They're not going to pay you back. So if they decide to change the law after they arrested you for selling a gun without an FFL license, they arrest you, you pay your penalty for 5 or 6 years, and then the new president comes in and reverses that decision and say, oh no, that's ridiculous, or Chevron difference is taken away. If you were arrested, you went to jail for 5 years, you paid all kinds of money to lawyer fees and bail and all that stuff. So how is this a win? How is it a win when things get changed? It's not a win. I didn't get the person I was with didn't get their money back for flashing lights that there was a cop down the road. We have to take our own freedoms. So I wouldn't sell guns, I would hoard guns. If you have a gun, keep it. So if you'll click this up next box, it'll take you to a video where I was talking about the solar panels. So if I can inspire you to find your freedoms so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.